So I'm actually very, very honored and privileged to introduce Omonuwa. We spent a lot of time together on a few calls prior to this, just chatting through the topic and everything else. And I must say that I'm quite personally excited to even be on the session and learn from this. And I would say I'm going to put her on the spot and say it's one of a few sessions. That way she can't back out, because we had to pick one topic for today, but you could tell that there's a few other topics that need to happen. So we're going to bring her back a few more times. Omonuwa is a senior HR business leader with nearly 2 decades of experience across fintech, e-commerce, and consulting. She's currently Chief HR Officer at Zone Payments. And Zone, she has a lot of what we call idom moments where you're like, I'm the person, I'm the one, I'm the star. So we're going to just pick a few of them so we don't make it 10 pages long. But at Zone, she built the people operating system that reshaped the way the company hires, develops, and retains talent. And as all of you know here, because you obviously all of you here interact with recruiting and growing teams, helped to grow the team from 18 employees to over 130 employees. That's literally like about 10x increase in employee count. Raised employee engagement by 53%, which is huge. Cut attrition down by 58%. All of us know we're in an environment where attrition tends to be fairly high. And then supported through a lot of the HR initiatives that, some of them she'll share with you privately if you ever catch her at a dinner or something, was able to support the company in growing 50x revenue growth, right? So when you can directly link your own initiative as an HR person to the company's outcomes, clearly you're doing something right. She's now leading Zone's shift to agentic automation, launching Zora, which is an AI-powered knowledge assistant that gives employees instant contextual access to company processes, products, and insights. What that simply means is that rather than HR becoming a call center for always addressing every single question in real time, you can actually begin to build a knowledge base that's accessible, usable, and again, we'll talk more about that. But yeah, this is, I think, really the future of knowledge management in HR. Previously, she was Group CHRO at AppZone, and there she drove a 60% reduction in attrition and supported the company with a 15x revenue growth, right, through her HR initiatives. And beyond her core role, she champions women in tech programs, mentoring circles, and helps female professionals enter and advance in engineering, in product, in operations. So she's not only here to drive commercial value for companies, but also to enable professionals to succeed. And lastly, because she's so skilled, people keep disturbing her to give them advice. And so she does have a company called Purple Stone Technologies, where she advises tech founders on building scalable AI-ready people systems. She holds a bachelor's in electrical and electronic engineering, like myself. I'm proud to say people that have double E degrees tend to be kind of special people. And she's a member of CIPM. So I hope I've done this justice. There are many more pages that we could have added to this, but I think we don't want to make her feel too embarrassed in front of everyone. Omonuwa, welcome, and thank you so much for doing this session with us today.
Thank you very much, Seni, for the introduction. And it's my absolute pleasure to be here in the midst of brilliant professionals, basically trying to make sense of this new world and reality that we're faced with, where AI and HR are now firmly firmly shaking hands, right? And just amplifying our role within organizations. So it's my pleasure and my honor. Thank you very much.
Amazing. So let's actually do a quick survey before we start. It also helps Omonuwa to get a sense for who's in the room and how you guys are playing around with AI. So the question is, what's your current relationship with AI at work? And we use the at work part because we're here in a professional context, right? So the first one is you and AI are strangers. You've heard of it, but that's all. The second one is that you're kind of dating AI, you're exploring, tried a few tools here and there, still figuring it out. The third is your partners, because you use AI regularly for your tasks. And the last one is HR is maybe your if you have a partner or a spouse, they're currently asking you who are you texting at night, because you and the AI tools are constantly having conversations. So those are the 4 options. We're going to launch the poll now. And if you don't happen to see the poll right there in front of you, there's on the bottom right corner of your screen, there's like a square with 6 dots. If you click on those 6 dots, you'll see a menu for polls. When you click on polls, you'll see the poll has been launched. So we'll just give about a minute for people to respond, and then we'll get it going. Hi, Balaji, welcome. Hi, Blessing. Hi, hello, Akpelumi. Hello, Abiola. Welcome. Hi, Chinaye. It's great to have you here. Ofuri, Adiola, Amaka. Welcome, 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 welcome. All right, so we're getting these votes in, and we'll get started pretty soon. Okay, I'm going to count down 30 seconds now, and I guess they always say, vote now or forever hold your peace. Welcome, Anita. We're actually a next customer at Talstack, so it's great to have you on the call. And actually, you're one of our customers, so I guess it's a mutual customership. Okay, so I think we'll get going in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Oba, I think you can close off the poll now, and I think there's a way for you to click on show the responses so everyone can see what was said. Okay, so I guess here we have it. Most people are in the middle somewhere. They're either dating or they're partners, but only a few people have tied the knot officially. And great thing that nobody here seems to be a stranger to AI. So that's really good, because I suspect that increasingly that's no longer going to be a place to be. All right, so this is it. We're going to hand over to Omonuwa in a second. I think I'll just state from my own side of things that obviously as a business leader, AI is the discussion of the day, right? For many people, if you don't talk about AI, is a non-starter. But I think in a more practical sense, for all of us, AI impacts the way we work, impacts our productivity, and impacts the value we can create. And in a world that is increasingly becoming AI first or AI enabled, it's almost like us going back to 2001 when the internet was had just become the thing. And if you fast forward to today, I think there are people then that thought, yeah, it's just a fad, it's going to go away. Eventually we'll be back to what we were doing before, using fax machines and typewriters. I don't think AI is going away. So let's all get with the program. And I think most of us here are already getting with the program. So with that said, I'm going to hand over to you and let you do your magic.
Thank you very much, Seni. And you're right. I'm really very glad with the responses. It shows that a lot of us here are very innovative and our minds are open and we are curious to learn, basically because of the, we've been able to embrace AI in the way we work, our day-to-day work, okay? So I'm going to be sharing my screen. I'm very much aware that this is a practical session, but I would like to create some level of context so that you kind of understand where we're coming from, where I'm coming from, myself and my team, and basically Zone at large, right? And the way we think about AI and the potentials that it presents to us as an organization and also as a function, and also myself as a professional. I believe everyone can see my screen, so I think I'll just go right into it. Before I go into the meat of the session, I'd like to kind of create some expectations so that we kind of know what the flow is going to look like. I'm going to start by talking about why AI matters in HR. And I know that this won't be any reason or justification that would be strange to any of us on the call, because we're already HR professionals that leverage AI heavily in our day-to-day tasks. And I'll speak to you about the challenge, right? The first of many, as Seni has alluded. And I will talk about a very important aspect, which is as important as even learning about the AI tool itself, that myself and my team had to really spend some time to understand and incorporate into the approach that we're taking. And then the approach will be a practical session, and I'll come up and wrap up with lessons. Please take down your questions. I can actually see the audience right now. I can only see my presentation on the screen.
If I see like some very pressing question, on the side.
Okay, you could please just,
Flag it.
nudge me. Exactly. Thank you very much. So, but please, you can drop your questions or just take them down as I progress along. And I promise to share with you everything that we have learned as we went along the journey of creating a dynamic, scalable knowledge management system for zone payments. All right, so let's start with the why. Okay. I often say all the time in interactions with professionals, whether they're colleagues in the HR field or in other endeavors, I tell them that AI is not about replacing human resources. Now, I had to tailor this for this session because we're all HR professionals, I believe, on the call, right? So AI is not about replacing human resources. Rather, AI is about amplifying human resources. What we are experiencing is an evolution of HR to become a people intelligence engine, one position to help businesses scale faster, smarter, and more, I dare say, human. All right. And that's our reality at Zone. What I'm going to be sharing with you in terms of the why are things that we have experienced. I have experienced as someone who is opportuned to lead the people and culture strategy here at a fintech organization. All right, so let's get right into it. Why does AI matter in HR? For me, the first very strong reason, like I just alluded, is the fact that HR is now becoming about people intelligence, right? We are transitioning from a reactive standpoint, what you would hear people go strategic, operational partner, to become a strategic business partner. But it goes beyond just throwing those words around, but actually being an effective strategic HR business partner. So typically what you will find is traditional HR is about asking what happened when there's a dip in attrition, or when there's a rise in attrition, or there are people issues stemming from performance or engagement. You start to see traditional HR, basically asking what happened. What AI is doing in terms of amplifying HR is the fact that it enables us to ask why it happened, helps us understand why it happened, what will happen next, and what should we be doing to ensure that it doesn't happen again, or basically, solve that problem. So we become, more about people intelligence, really understanding the people, the type of talents we are hiring, and it feeds into the type of talents we would hire, the kind of environments we'll be curating for them as they grow within the organization, and basically just walking through their entire life cycle as they progress, and they journey through with that organization. The second is because skill without intelligence is chaos. Especially for those of us that are working with early stage companies, and even for those of us that are in a bit more matured companies, skill is a constant across this type of companies, basically. And so as organizations grow, as roles become very complex, what you'll find is that there becomes a break in the kind of experience or the processes that have been curated to manage these people. Okay, so what AI does is ensuring that even as we scale, we're able to bring along that consistency. The fundamentals of our people strategy stay constant and they are clear. It gives us that clarity, even at scale. So whether we have two people scaling to become 20 or 100 or 500 or 3,000 people, because you're leveraging on AI, again, and as an amplifier, an enabler, it helps provide that consistency and clarity at scale. All right, because AI restores the human in human resources. I know this is like a kind of like a cliche phrase, but that's the reality. All right. The greatest misconception is that AI is going to replace people, but in the true sense of it is, it's actually going to free us to be a bit more human. It's going to free us to be able to dig deep into our competencies, our potentials, and present more strategic value to the organizations that we work with. All right. And give us back a currency that is very valued, which is time. Time to be able to mentor people, time to be able to connect with people, time to be able to listen and provide the solutions that really meets the intrinsic needs of our people. All right. And then the fact that because culture needs a mirror, AI is there to provide it. Okay, and what do I mean by this? Basically, it would enable us lead with evidence and not intuition. There is that possibility, or there's that chance of HR sometimes becoming very sentimental and saying, oh, I think, I feel, this is the pulse that is happening in this particular department. This is how the people here are feeling. But when you leverage on AI, right, what it does is that it enables you lead with evidence. You are able to present your data. I am not springing up strategies from thin air based on your emotions or your sentiments, all right? And so what it does is it helps us see the invisible. It helps us understand the behavioral traits that are within the organization. Where are people's strengths lied in? What are the potentials that we have across, the demography of employees we have, with objectivity and speed, all right? Now, another point, which is our reality, and I'm sure you guys are already seeing it, is the fact that the future of work is already agentic. So anyone who is still asking themselves, what does AI really mean? Or what does it pertain? Or what are the benefits? Then you are at the laggard end of the adoption curve, the innovation curve, right? The future of work is already agentic. We are gradually moving, not even gradually, sorry, we are rapidly moving from systems that serve people to systems that actually work with them. All right. Now, HR has to be at the forefront of that evolution. Your people, your workforce cannot be adopting to change while you're still stuck in your old ways. All right. So we have to be at the forefront of that evolution, bringing to life this environment that is changing systems from serving people to actually working with them and understanding their peculiarities and delivering results based on their needs and their wants and personalities or peculiarities and realities. All right. So I say that HR's role in this future of work that is agentic is to be the architects of that ecosystem. We're not just only supposed to adopt. So I like the fact that a lot of us here are already using AI, but what you should start to think about is, how do I actually create a system where my employees start to actively actually create these agents and embed it into the way they work, day to day, basically. And then, okay, finally, there was a particular point that I was going to raise where it is because data is the new empathy. We will no longer, and I think I've already spoken to that, where we can no longer rely on our intuition. We can no longer rely on hearsay or what our sentiments feel, but basically on what is science saying, what are the behavioral changes that we're experiencing, how are people navigating the different phases of their lives, and how do we want to care for them scientifically. So you're not going to be coming up with initiatives that are not aligned with business strategy because you're not a HR professional that is strategic, leveraging, again, amplifying your competencies using AI, but rather you're leveraging on AI, and then you're able to come up with these initiatives and strategies that basically care for your people. Okay, so I wanted to kind of create that context so that we understand that AI is very important in HR, and those are my fundamental principles on why I adopted and why I currently use AI, frequently in everything that I do, basically in my professional journey. So to create some level of context before I move, because I'm also being very mindful of the time, I want to spend a chunk of my time in the practical session, but I need to be able to create some context on what was the challenge. Now, Zone Payment Network Limited is a decentralized payment infrastructure that is currently leveraging on the blockchain technology to provide frictionless, seamless financial transactions. What that means in very clear terms is we are the ones that enable your financial transactions. So when you send money from your account to the account of a loved one or acquaintance or a friend, we are the backbone that ensures that that transaction moves seamlessly. And traditionally, what you would always have is you will always have a middleman, a switch, but with our innovative technology, we've been able to decentralize that system where these banks or financial institutions, OFIs, are able to communicate directly with themselves. So I said this to kind of create a context of the kind of organization that I am leading a people strategy on with my team, to let you understand how complex and how technical it is. All right, it's a lot of technicalities, not only because of the technology we're playing with or we're leveraging on, but also in the industry, which is payment. Payment is a subset of financial services, but it's highly specialized. There are lots of technicalities, there are lots of terms, there are lots of processes. You know, it's really specialized. So you might be a software engineer that has built your career, let's say Web3 cutting across into from Web2 cutting across into Web3. And then you come into our ecosystem or into our space where you literally have to learn about payment. So it's a highly technical and specialized environment. And then we were faced with the issue of knowledge gaps, right? And I'll just quickly share a story. So there's a particular function called ISO 8583 messaging, and is a core component of messaging for card services. All right. Now we had just one software engineer that had built competence in that through trainings and just through self-development and consuming materials, and then more importantly, actually, practicalizing on the job. And then as we started to scale, what we noticed was every time we needed to make any optimization on an existing product, if that particular software engineer is not available, we are running behind schedule. And you know that the lifeline of any tech company is really how quickly you're able to roll out your products to the market. And we're having these issues. And similar circumstances and occurrences or trends were happening across the organization where people couldn't effectively do their job because they didn't even understand the technology or even the payment ecosystem that they were functioning in. So knowledge gap was a huge one for us, and the problem statement for me was, how am I able to capture institutional knowledge, right, in an accurate, cost-effective, and scalable way, while making it easy for employees at Zone, at different levels, irrespective of whether you are a senior or you are in the middle stage of your career or just entry level, to understand what these technicalities meant in a way that was easy for them, easy to understand. And then, mind you, I don't have any playbook. My team, we didn't have a playbook, right? And at that time, OpenAI kind of just rolled out ChatGPT, which had democratized AI, for all of us as professionals. And so for myself and my team, it was something we were already playing with and experimenting, but we weren't really thinking about it in that sense. And then one day it hit me that you're actually having a conversation with this LLM, right? And it's spewing back responses because that's what it's supposed to do. Why don't you leverage this for your knowledge management problem that you're having? Mind you, we had in the past tried to reach out to consultants. You have people who you have companies who come in and help you build your knowledge management repository. They come in, they sit with the SMEs, they try to get that knowledge out of them, they document it, and all of the shebangs that go with that entire process. The most effective of the companies we had spoken to had guaranteed us a 6 months turnaround time, and the cost was over $50,000 to implement, and this was in 2022. All right, we just an early stage, we just evolved from our parent company, which was Absol Group. So it was a big problem. And then the problem just kept, we had tried several methods, knowledge transfers. We had tried even getting these SMEs to kind of do videos and do presentations. But really, none of it was effective because we couldn't even validate the accuracy of their information or the quality. That's another problem that we had. All right. So what was the solution? We turned to AI. Again, this is a very classic example of how AI helped to amplify our positioning within Zone. All right. And what we did was very simple. We decided to leverage on two large language models, which ChatGPT and Gemini. At that time, Claude was also coming into the market or have come into the market, but we were going to go with the top two that we were conversant with, right? And what we wanted them to do was help us. Sorry, just to confirm that I'm audible and we're all still together.
Clear, fully clear.
Okay, cool. All right, so what we we had to use both LLMs, right, to be able to not only curate the resources for this particular domain areas, but even validate that the domain areas that we're thinking about across the blockchain technology and across the payment industry were valid and really pertained to our company. All right. So fast forward, we leveraged on both of them. We started with Gemini, and we'll feed the outcome into ChatGPT, just optimizing and leveraging on prompt engineering. And when we were able to get out those materials, we then said, okay, well, how do we get this to be presented in a manner that people are able to easily understand and digest it? And make learning fun for our employees. And that's where we discovered Notebook LM, which is Google's AI tool that helps. It's actually a taking assistant, but we then discovered that it had the possibilities for learning and really just simplifying complex topics or subjects, basically. And what we bettered was audio and visual learning materials. Okay. Just 2 more minutes and I'll go into the practical session. But I have to speak about the principles of prompting, because when we started, we were frustrated. We were experiencing a lot of hallucinations on the platforms because we didn't know how to leverage on them. Yes, those things are there, but we then devised, by the time we understood the principles or what we call the act of prompt engineering, it kind of, explained it better and enriched our outcome. So I'll just quickly run through them, okay? The first is that when you are using an LLM, you have to be clear and you have to be very specific, all right? You need to be able to provide enough information so that it understands what you are trying to do. It understands your intent, and I kind of put an example there. So an example is summarize the role of a settlement operations specialist in a blockchain payment company in a way that a new non-tech employee can easily understand. And giving it further to say, break it into 3 modules and include one relatable example or analogy for each concept. The second principle is you must provide context and anchors, because if you don't, it really wouldn't know where you're coming from. Remember, this is a machine that you're interacting with. It is still learning about our human language, all right? So you have to provide context and in some cases provide anchors. I might add that what prompt engineering is simply the way you relate and the way you converse with an LLM. Is the way you chat on WhatsApp, you chat with on Instagram, you prompt when you are on an LLM. All right. So I just wanted to explain that so that we don't think that prompt engineering is one very big thing. Just basically the way you're prompting, because you are prompting it and you're expecting responses. So you're providing context and anchor, which is you can provide documents about your company or documents about that particular thing that you're working on that you already have. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate, because you can include that I have this document. It's not so accurate, but this should be, like an anchor for you. And this is an example of what that means or how that prompt can look like. The third one is, it's always nice to define the role and tone. So when you get onto your profile, and I'm going to show you that shortly, it's very important that you are able to assign a persona or a role to your agent. Tell the agent about you, not necessarily divulging everything about you, but give it context. I'm a senior business HR leader. I lead the people and culture strategy at company ABC. All right. My philosophy is XYZ. The people are the organization's greatest asset. You give it that context, and then you tell it, you give it the tone. I want you, whenever I'm conversing with you, whenever I'm prompting with you, I want you to respond to me in this certain way. I want you to respond to me as a PhD level professional that has access to this vast database of information that is unlimited. So I expect you to critique my thoughts. I expect you to critique my acts and give me the best responses. All of that is you defining the role and tone. And then there's something called scoped prompting. Now, we experienced this when it could spill out so much information. And probably what we needed was just probably 150 words or 300 word summary of a particular area or a particular topic. So it's very important that how you want it to be presented or the frame you want it to present its response, you should clearly define it. Okay, so an example is generate a product description, but do not mention the prices or promotional offers, or analyze Q1 sales data using the following structure. So you're giving it guidance and it understands what it's supposed to do. Guide the format, all right? Do you want your information to come out to you in the form of a summary, a table, a list, an email draft, whatever it is, speak to it. Your AI is your direct report. What it's going to do as we introduce agents into our workforce, what you're going to start to have is that everybody will become a manager, but not manager in the sense where you bring in the leadership capabilities into it. No, but rather in the sense that you have someone who is working and carrying out your operational tasks, freeing you to do more meaningful work. All right. So talk to it, give it format, tell it your why, give it guidance on what you're trying to do. Let it understand your vision and your intended outcome. And this is an example to buttress that point. And then 3 more, just progressive prompting. So your first prompt, most times, is not always 100%. You're having a conversation. That's why they're called conversational agents. All right. So you are asking the first question, it will respond back to you. You ask more. And as it starts to ask you more questions, what you would realize, and you'll see that shortly, is it starts to guide your thinking into even aspects or areas that you didn't consider when you started the project, just basically enriching your knowledge, right? And then review and revise. Another way we found to kind of solve for the hallucination was we asked the agent to check its work. So when you pull out an information, we tell it to read it, revise it, and ask itself if this is the best form, that this information can be presented, or if the information is authentic enough, to really solve for the area that we're trying to get information about. All right. And then, sorry, I'm just trying to check my time, being very cautious of that. And then another way to handle hallucinations is give it instructions. All right. So preempt hallucinations by instructing the model on what to do when it's unsure. Sometimes, and it happens, it could be as a fault of maybe network, or it could just be, ChatGPT in its feelings at that period that you're working with it. And it can just literally spew back an answer that you're like, from where did you come out from? So you can actually give it instructions to say, when I ask you a question and you don't have the answer, come back to me and tell me it's not available, right? Especially when you're creating projects and you kind of have, remember I talked about providing context and anchors, right? So where you have fed it some anchors or you've provided context, and it's coming back and giving you an information that is not within those documents, you can issue an instruction that tells it that whenever I ask you a question and the answer is not within the group of material that I've fed into you, please come back and let me know, so that you are now able to revise your prompting in a way that it's able to understand and give you the outcome that you intend. So these are 8 principles that I researched on and was able to cascade it down to my team to say, hey, let's apply this and let's see how it solves for our problem. So let's go into the practical session. Okay. And feel free to walk along with me as I go ahead. Okay, so let's start with good. So let me just browse that for the purpose of working. Remember the 8 principles that I just shared. Be clear, be specific, provide context and anchor. Scoped prompting, where you put restraints. There is also the progressive prompting, and then ask it to proofread what it's saying, and then tell it, if you are not clear, tell me I'm not clear, and then I know how to revise my prompting. So I'm going to be implementing all of that. Now for us, what we did was, because it's a knowledge management system we're trying to create, and I would advise that when you are kind of bringing to life those kind of frameworks, it's advisable that you create a project. I'm not going to talk about this is what ChatGPT looks like, because we are all conversant with AI on the call, okay? But this is the page, right? So it's very important that you leverage on projects, because it kind of you're able to create instructions again, You're able to create those instructions, and it kind of works within the context of those instructions to deliver the results that you want. And then it's feeding. So what something we call recursive learning. It keeps feeding on information as it's researching and spewing out more information. You can download and feed it back into the platform. So no more talking. I want to go into action now. So the first thing you need to do is click on new project, and you can call your project anything. For the purpose of this, I'll just say AI in HR webinar. Okay, I'll call it that. But when we were doing ours, what we called it was knowledge management, zones knowledge management system. All right, and when you do that, and beyond even your professional life, you can also use this for personal. As you can see, there are different headings for investing, being able to learn more about the stock market, and just basically be particular about wealth generation, and a whole lot more. But I'm going to give my project this name for the purpose of this webinar. And when you do that, the system is opening up. Good. So you catch this, and then you have the opportunity to now create context and anchors. Okay. So what we did was we came on here, and the little files that we had, we uploaded them in here. But there's a very important part that I want to speak to first before we get into adding context and anchors. It's the instruction part of it, which is also being very clear and specific. So you come to the top right. Sometimes when you create the project, it would give you two options here, where you have the button to add files will be down here where my mouse is, and then there is add your instructions here on the right hand side. Okay, but it's not showing that it's still here. So you just go to these three dots at the top, right hand corner on my screen, and you can see edit project, and you can see add instructions. Okay, and this is where you are able to create the tone. You are able to even specify the role. All right, and then you are able to tell it, give it context, create your anchors and all of that stuff. Paste it. And what I've told it is I'm working on creating a knowledge management platform that will contain knowledge on my company's proprietary technology, information and knowledge. The documents will be used to onboard new hires in a knowledge transfer process, while existing employees would also learn from it. The name of the company is called Zone Payment Network Limited. And then I gave it context about what we do. And I also put the web link. All right. And so I said, I want a detailed and robust research documents that anyone who reads it can easily understand each domain area and how it's applicable to Zone Payment Network Limited. I went further to itemize the domain areas that we had already defined, from our subject matter experts internally, and listed them out. So it already knows where the focal areas. And I said, remember the ambiguity side. Where you are not clear, ask questions that will give you the clarity for the research. Your tone and format should be conversational and explanatory, like a help center article. It should be a standalone document, and then just basically giving it all of that information. Because what it does, again, is it ensures that when you prompt, it gives you valuable response. So once you're done with all of the instructions, and you can go all out and say as much things and create as much context that you want it to have, then you save. Okay, so this is it currently saving, and that's in there. And so I'm going to go in here now and add whatever anchors that I already have, just further creating more context. There are some times where you might not even have a knowledge material to start with. Whatever document you have, feed it in there. If you don't have a document, it's also fine. As you research and as you prompt, it would curate documents that you can now come into this area and feed back into it, so that it forms the basis, for its interaction. And so that's done, and you can close. You can see you can delete any of the knowledge materials that are not relevant. Okay, and so I have 10 files in, and so let's start. I'm going to tell it to begin. So before I do that, because I wanted it to research and give me information about domain areas, we used, the research functionality of ChatGPT. And this is it here. So when you click on the plus sign, you have deep research, you have create image, you have agent mode, which is something else currently, I think a couple of months was released. And so let me say this quickly. ChatGPT in its purest form is a conversational LLM. What that means is you prompt, it speaks to you, it gives you information. The agentic mode is the autonomous mode or the autonomous side of ChatGPT, where you're able to give it instructions and it will run tasks for you. Okay, I think that would be in subsequent master classes. It would actually go in and run tasks for you. You can tell it, go into this HRIS. I want to apply for a 5 days leave, get that rolling. Go into my payroll platform and help me process payroll for the month. And it will go in and you're seeing it working and you're doing other things because it's there. It's an agent to kind of free you up to be a bit more strategic and, do more meaningful work. So this is that mode, basically, and that's the agent mode. But for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to be leveraging on deep research. Now, what deep research does is that the agent, the conversational agent, goes into this vast database of information that it has, and it starts to sparse through information, gleaning information about that particular topic and curating it in a manner that you can understand and you can relate with. All right, so I'm going to click on deep research. And then this is the functionality to add your files or photos that maybe you probably don't want to add it to the project back end because you want to tailor it alone for this maybe a particular domain area or something. So you just click on deep research and it's activated. And then you have the option to say, I want you to go beyond my 10 files to search the web, which is always advisable because you want to get quality information. So I'm going to say the first domain area I want you to research on is RTGS, which means it's real-time gross settlement. It's a terminology under payments. It's RTGS. I want you to leverage the materials in my pool and any other information from the web. Because I've done a very detailed work in issuing an instruction, I don't need to pour all of that again in this particular instance. And then you send it, you're prompted. That's what a prompt means. Okay. Sorry. So it's saying too many concurrent requests. I just probably would say, I want to show it RTGS, and let's keep it moving that way. Got it. And so it's going to ask you questions. Remember, progressive prompting. Would you like me to produce the full RTGS research report now, covering both a general educational overview, concepts, architecture, workflows, message standards, use cases, global comparisons, FAQs, and 2, how it integrates into zones operations, right? Settlement logic, interpretability with NIBSS, OFIs, zone blockchain layers. Don't worry yourself about these terminologies, okay? Or do you want me to start with the general overview sessions first and then proceed to the zone-specific integration later? So what I'm going to tell it now is I want you, so I can be a bit lazy sometimes. I'll just say, I'll copy this. I want you to produce the full. So I've told it what it wants. Because I don't want any ambiguity, I like to do this, all right? And then I send it forth. And so it's searching the web. And this is basically your agent thinking for you. Sorry about this. This isn't working as planned. I guess it didn't take in my deep research. So I'm going to do it again. I want you to research. I think this was my error on RTGS. Okay. So it's still spewing out the information. So let me allow it finish up to the first one. Okay, cool. So put up my deep research, and I don't think I should have that issue happen again. But let me say this. So yes, I want you to research real-time gross settlement systems in general, but also take into specific recent innovation and context for regions. But you know what, better still, let me just do this because I already have something at work on. Okay. So let me just copy this and use it here. So it makes this a bit better. Oh, again, I've made this mistake. Sorry about this. I would have to do this again.
I think it reminds me of real life where at times, you're dealing with your direct reports.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah, so yeah. Well, that's some of the things that we experienced when we started using it, but sorry about this. Let me just allow it finish up because it must finish, its research before I would have the opportunity to prompt again. Okay, so basically it's spewing out, and this is one of the functionalities where it's basically sharing with you information based on your acts. Unfortunately, you can't stop it. Once it starts, you have to allow it finish, all of that research because it's passing through a vast amount of data. But we are almost done. Although I've run this before, but I just want to show us on the call what it looks like, so that we can appreciate the practicality of precise. So please bear with me.
So right now, I'm running through your document and also searching
Exactly. He's doing all of that at the same time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to show you, so because when you go into deep research, there is a particular way it functions, and that's actually what I wanted to show to the group. Still on.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me do it here. So because I've done something previously, I kind of envisaged this was going to happen to me. So now when you use the deep research functionality, this is basically what happens. So when I put in the first prompt, I said conduct a research on this in line with the instructions I shared guiding this project. It came back and said, thanks. Now to tailor this research properly for zone onboarding documentation, could you please clarify, do you want this? Again, it's asking you questions, and that's where the progressive prompting comes in. It's asking you questions. And then I took those questions and responded and said, focus on Nigeria, RTGS systems, and also compare it with RGS systems from other regions globally, because that was the question it asked me. And then I said, I want the focus to be on how it integrates to our operations. Again, giving it context and anchors. And then said, great. I would develop a comprehensive, and then it started to research. So I wanted to show the team the process. And I think I'll still go back to see if it's done now. But it actually, you actually see it thinking through, right? And then as it's going through the resources, the sources start to count. When it started at 1, and then it stopped at 29 and did 130 searches. That is even beyond the information I had already fed into it. Okay, so that's basically what deep research does. And then when you're done, it gives you this document that you can now download and read, or further use in any other manner or way that you want to, basically. Okay. Because of time, let me just see if it's done with this, because I just want to show us. Okay, so let's see if it would work better now. Okay, so there's a glitch happening this evening. I don't know why, but I think maybe because I've kind of practicalized a lot of materials, it's not working as it should. But like I just showed to you, this is the material that would come out when you run a deep research. And this is what it did for us for all of the 26 domain areas, right? And we're able to take that and customize it into what I'm sharing currently on my screen, which is a material that talks about real-time gross settlement, as it pertains to zone. We had the table of contents, and those are things that we got from the deep research that came out of it. And then it starts to talk about it. Now, this is a 35-page document. That is a lot of information for anybody to consume. So if you send this and put it in your central repository, nobody would want to read it, or people would read it, but they would take their time, and it still wouldn't solve that problem. Remember, my solution was, how do I get a system that would help me scale knowledge management in a cost-effective manner, and in a way that people are able to understand it and is easy to digest. So we took that material and then we came into what we call Notebook LM. Notebook LM, like I said, is a Google Assistant that helps with learning. When you have course materials or you have learning materials that are a bit complex for you, you feed it into Notebook LM, and it would explain it in a very simple and easy to digest manner without sacrificing on the technicalities. All right. And so what we did was, this is basically it. You can have access to it through your Google account. You come on here and then you feed the information that you want. So for the purpose of this, I'm just going to quickly do this. Okay. And then I'm feeding this into the system. And once you do that, what you have is, it's going to give you a summary. It's going to give you a summary of what that document you have fed into it looks like. There are some times where you want it to also go through multiple documents, as many documents as you want, you feed it in there. If, as you're going along the process, you can continue to add documents. Just click on add, and then you can put in links. It gives you access to put website links, YouTube links. You can also go into your Google Workspace and pull material from there, or you just copy and paste text, basically, right? But this is what it does, and this is just the first step. Now, it is an interactive platform where it's almost like a one-to-one personalized learning platform. But for us, we wanted to be able to take out materials that our people could easily read and understand on this very vast document that my LLMs had produced for us, basically. And so what we did here was, we went into the modules on the right-hand side of my screen. You have the audio overview, a video overview. You have mind maps where it would open up the material and literally go through the different the headings and explain them to you, reports, flashcards, and quizzes. And this is really ideal for people who, want to personalize learning and stuff like that. But for us, like I said, we wanted to be able to get out explainer videos and get out learning materials that people could easily consume. So the first thing we did was, we had this summary, and we wanted to get the audio version. When you come on here, again, remember, this is an AI tool. You can actually give it instructions. And so you come on here and you decide, what kind of formats do I want my audio to come out as? Do I want it to be a deep dive? Do I want it to be brief? Do I want it to come in the form of a critique, right? Or a debate between two people? And it will give you all of the definitions. It's clear that you can see them on my screen. And then you can choose your language that you want it to come out, or the audio to come out as, and then you can choose the length. Do you want it to be shorter? Default is about, I think, 30 minutes or 35, thereabout. And then you want it to be longer, and then it will take a lot of time. It will take more time to really unpack those terminologies, within the document. And then you can feed it your instruction, okay? And once you do that, you click on generate. And you can see automatically it's already generating the audio overview for me. The same thing happens with video. It's just basically the same format. The format I want, do I want it to be explainer? Do I want it to be brief? Again, because this was going to be like a knowledge management system for us, we wanted it to be in an explainer format. So a presentation where someone is presenting on a simplified aspect of this very complex knowledge. And then there were the languages. And then this is a new feature where you can choose the format. You would see how this plays when I show you the video. And then again, you can put in your instructions on how you want the AI host to run through the explainer video. So you can say, I want you to explain this for new hires or active employees that are trying to understand this concept, go through the intricacies about this particular concept, the use cases, the applicabilities, and all of that. You can, as much information and clarity that you need to provide, you feed all of that into the space. And then again, the same process, you generate, your audio visual. And once you're done, this is what you're going to have. Okay, because I had to do this because it takes a lot of time. Sometimes it can take about 10 minutes. And sometimes it can take, depending on your network, it can be longer. So I'm just going to show you what came out of it. This is a video explainer. Remember that video explainer I was talking about where I said I wanted to come out, but this is a video learning resource. I said I wanted to come out as an explainer, and this is what it did. One thing about Notebook LM is to always give cool titles to whatever subject it's talking about, okay? It's still ROTGS, but it talked about demystifying ROTGS. All right.
I think the audio is not coming out just yet, though we can see it moving.
Oh, no audio. Okay, sorry. Let me find out how that. I think when I shared, it should be from.
You need to enable the audio.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. So, okay, so audio is enabled. I don't know why. I know that I was particular about it. Okay, I have to share. Exactly. I just noticed that now. Thank you very much. So let me stop sharing and do that again. Okay. I think I'm gonna go. Okay. I think this should work now. So I'll take it to the beginning again.
The moment we've all been waiting
So
for.
Can you hear it?
Not yet.
Can you hear?
Not yet. It's not coming out yet.
No, yeah. I know I shared a tab. I don't know why this is happening. I apologize. Sometimes you.
No, look, this happened to me just literally 2 days ago.
So what I'm discovering is that particular video is, because it's a Chrome tab, it's not a tab, it's a video on my system. So it's not a share audio. How am I going to work with this now?
I'm trying to think about if you just do share window only. I'm trying to replicate that on my screen. If you do share window.
No, so share window, it wouldn't. I have to share a tab, and because it's not a Chrome tab, it's a document on its own. Yeah. Like it's a file.
Instead, yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not going to be able to. You need to hear the audio because that's really the meat of
What's strange is that it worked last time we were on the call together. It worked. You and I.
Exactly. So I don't know why.
We were on Google Meet as well that time.
Yeah, I don't know why. It was the same thing.
Let me check to see if there's any settings that with the call that. But I mean, we didn't change any settings here. Let me see if it's. That's possible to put the video. If you have the video on Google Drive or somewhere, that might be a way to hack it.
And I don't have these videos online. That's the problem. Okay. Let me try something else. Just a second. We'll figure this out. Let me go to our LLM. I'm sorry, our LMS. And see if I can access it from there. That should be a Chrome tab, and that should work. So where do I have outage here?
It's probably a point where I put in a quick plug to say that while we didn't catch the Omonuwa early enough before they picked an LMS, but we're working on how we'll convert them into Talstack subscribers for the LMS in the future. For those of you who haven't yet, please. Yeah. I just come to Talstack instead.
Yeah. Well, it's never too late. Okay, so I think I have that nailed down now. So let me share so let me stop sharing. I'm going to share my screen. I think I've solved for it.
All right.
Good. So this should work now. Please let me know, just a thumbs up if you can hear the video. Sorry, the audio.
On something that's absolutely fundamental to what we do here at Welcome, everyone. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something that's absolutely fundamental to what we do here at Zone. We're going to do a really deep dive into our payment infrastructure, specifically looking at the real-time gross settlement system, or RTGS, and why it's so incredibly critical to our entire network. All major payments. Then, we'll look at how Zone handles things with our own instant on-chain settlement. After that, and this is the exciting part, we'll see how we bridge those two worlds. From there, we'll talk about the practical advantages of our approach and wrap it all up with the new synergy this whole thing creates. Through this system. It's designed to be really simple but also incredibly robust. It starts when a bank initiates a payment. The RTGS system instantly checks, does this bank actually have the money in its account at the central bank? If the answer is yes, it immediately
So I'm just cutting through.
reliable bridge that makes sure every single digital transaction on our network is backed by and can be converted into real central bank money. So
So let me also show you what the audio version, because what we have done is we took all of
where we cut through the complexity to bring.
Let me pause. So what we did was the outcome from Notebook LM, we took it and fed it into our LMS. And this is what it currently looks like. When you come in and we want to expose you to domain knowledge, what we have called domain knowledge, you're going to be assigned this plan. It's a learning plan. And there are about, I think about 26 courses on it, and then you go through each one, and we've broken it down into levels. Again, we were able to break it down into levels and explain what each level meant with the use of, again, AI. All right, so you can see level 2, intermediate, advanced, and it's helped us segment our learners. So there are some people who are advanced. Remember, we had SMEs even before this project began. Those guys just typically go to the level that's applicable for them. And then for those who are starting from scratch, they start from level 1. So this is basically the way we have been able to feed it into L&D, just the first step for us. All right, but I want to show you. So when they come in, they have the option of audio and they have the option of a video session. Now for the audio, you're going to see what it looks like.
Bring you the essential knowledge. Today, we're unraveling a cornerstone of modern finance, real-time gross settlement, or, well, RTGS. We're going to connect its vital role to Zone's pioneering blockchain-powered payment infrastructure. Whether you're new to the team or maybe a veteran looking for, makes sense. But for the individual banks,
transactions, things like interbank loans, security settlements, or massive corporate payments. So, for example, if Bank A needs to send, say, 100 million Naira to Bank B, the central bank immediately debits Bank A's account held with them and credits Bank B's account instantly, guaranteeing the payment right there on the spot.
right, that 100 million Naira transfer, it sounds simple enough when you say it like that, but how does that money actually move? Step by step through the RTGS, can we trace its journey, see the gears turning?
Absolutely. Let's break it down. It involves the participating banks holding accounts directly at the central bank. The central bank maintains the centralized ledger, the single source of truth. The flow generally follows 5 key steps. 1, payment initiation. Bank A submits a secure payment message, maybe for 50 million Naira, to Bank B into the RTGS system. It's got all the critical details. 2, verification. The RTGS system checks, does Bank A actually have sufficient funds in its central bank account? If not, the payment might be queued for a bit. 3, processing and settlement. Okay, funds are available. Bank A's account gets debited, Bank B's gets credited almost simultaneously. It happens in one atomic operation, meaning it either.
So let me stop here before I make everyone payment experts. But this is basically the outcome. And we have, like I just showed you, we have 26 and we are rolling. All right. We have been able to tackle payments and the technology. So the payment industry, the technicalities around it, and our blockchain technology. Now we're moving into our products itself to really demystify what our products and how they've been built. we laugh and joke that Zone is a university of its own because of the uniqueness of our technology and the payment industry that we are currently paying at, right? So this is basically the outcome of the entire process. We leveraged on the LLM and then we fed it into Notebook LM, and then getting out those materials, we fed it into our LMS, to be able to give employees access to this information. And so my problem statement was completely solved just following through this approach by AI. I know my time is fast spent. We're supposed to be moving into Q&A, but I think just looking at what I have shared, you can kind of already see the benefits without me, really going in depth, into them. But it's something I want to, show. Sorry about this. It's something I want to show real quick. And these are just the benefits, and I've kind of spoken to them, as I've gone through the session. Sorry, I don't think I'm on the screen anymore, so I have to stop sharing and go back to my entire, because I've moved.
I think you're still, okay, yes.
I'm going to change it that now. Okay, great. So you should be seeing my presentation now. All right. So, like I was saying, two major benefits that I want to speak to that we're currently experiencing, because this is a project that is about a month old and we've currently released it to a closed user group. But I might quickly add this. So when Seni was introducing me, he said, I've also led Zone transitioning into the agentic workforce by creating and deploying our first agent. And that's true. So what we did was, we didn't just stop at those learning materials that you have seen, because when you think about it, somebody has to literally leave the work, go onto the LMS and read up or study and follow the learning plan. We said, what do we need to do to bring it into their work? Remember that I said that we are moving from systems that serve people to systems that actually work with people. So it was, how do we take the system and make it work with our employees, right? And so we fed it into our first agent. We have our first conversational agent. Just imagine that we created a ChatGPT for Zone, but we leveraged on what is called Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot. Fantastic environment. It has demystified all of the complexities of having to build your own conversational agent from scratch using those tools, basically the LLMs, but creating a studio where you can go plug, play, arrange things, and you're able to create your agents. And we just recently deployed that. It's still people are still interacting with it, but what it does is it's taking all of this information and even beyond that information, everything about the organization, our why, our processes, everything, and it's fed into its knowledge base. And so what if I have a question around my career growth and I'm not clear on the number of steps that I need to attain, to move through to get a particular end game, which is like where I want to be in the next couple of years or something in my career, I can quietly type it into that agent and say, hi, Zora, could you tell me how many steps I need to take, to get to this level, or what is my career path? Now it is so intelligent where it's able to know the employee that is speaking to you. We programmed it anyway. So it's able to identify who it's interacting with and immediately spew out its prompts and responses tailored to your function within Zone. All right. But what I would really wanted to speak on in terms of benefits is this. And by the way, that's the future for us. But what I wanted to speak on was we've been able to close gradually. We're seeing that close in knowledge gap. People now have access to this information and they can actually learn. We're not going to be looking for one software engineer to sit down and have masterclasses or knowledge transfer sessions to unpack the knowledge that they have, warehoused in their brain, because it's now decentralized. It's democratized. Everybody now has access to it. All right, it's easily accessible. And then it was cost effective. Remember I told you when we went out to the consultants, they told us it was going to cost us at least $50,000 at an exchange rate of 400 at that time was about 20 million. And it was going to take at least, the earliest was 4 months, but realistically 6 months. They were going to sit down with these SMEs, and that's them pulling them out of work, and that's them dipping into my productivity level, right, for my employees. All right, but look at what AI did. Literally just paying an annual subscription of $240 and spending 8 weeks. The 8 weeks was because we were taking our time and we had to learn about prompt engineering so that we didn't experience those frustrations. And this is literally, so we spent less than 2% of the initial cost. That's what it means to be a strategic partner to your organizations as you lead or aspiring to lead the people strategy for your organizations. And there's a whole lot of other benefits. I've just shown you what it's doing for our L&D, and then the quality of the knowledge. Now, even our SMEs are shocked with the quality of information because there are some things that the human brain is limited by. AI doesn't experience those limitations. So they are even learning, and updating their knowledge, basically. All right, so I'm going to wrap up just to speak about some of the lessons that I've learned, and then we'll take Q&As. The first is AI doesn't replace HR, it amplifies HR. So please leverage on it. It's going to make you more competent. It's going to make you more knowledgeable about what you're doing, and going to make you a better strategic partner to your organization. Learn prompt engineering so that you don't experience the frustrations we have, because we could have achieved this in 4 weeks if we had prompt engineering locked down. And it's the act of interacting with your LLM. Start small, iterate fast, stay curious. If you're not curious, you will not experience or experiment with these new technologies that are coming up, and as AI continues to evolve. And then, like I just said, it helps you build clarity in your skills, your knowledge, and growth. And please always think possibilities. That's what is going to distinguish you. AI is a leveler of intelligence, quotients. It kind of creates that platform where everyone now, nobody has an excuse to say I'm slow, in quote, or I couldn't grasp the concept, or I'm not competent enough because you have AI. But when you think about possibilities, you're going to go beyond AI amplifying your professionalism to exploring other areas where you can distinguish yourself. Example, execution quotient. All right. And so with that, I would end my practical masterclass, and I hope it was truly, truly helpful. Thank you.
Wow. I don't think I need to say anything. I think the screen is that's amazing. I think it made it very clear that this is worthwhile to actually format it this way. I think we do want to leave some room for questions, and a quick reminder that once you've done all the steps that Omonuwa just went through, you can put together a slide that you share with your executive team, telling them that you just saved them, whether it's $50K or $70K or 10 million naira, and therefore you need some kind of reward. Maybe go and spend the holidays in some resort somewhere, get to massages. But of course, my marketing and sales team is on this call, so I know they'll drag me severely if I don't say that. Once you've done that and you've gotten all the rewards, then you can come and put all that content on Talstack, make a playlist, send it to your employees, and let us be part of your story. Obaz,
I love that.
There's a link on the screen right here where if you use that link, for everyone on this call today, we usually give people like a very short trial. We'll actually give you a 30-day offer for your entire organization if you want, or if you want to bring on your maybe just like your HR staff, test it out. Okay. So we'll give you 30 days free access to Talstack to try it out and see if you can do everything that Mona just did. So with that said, let's take Q&A just so we can see if there are any questions, and then we'll wrap up the session. If there are any questions, and I'm just excited for the next ones as well. I'm already like looking forward to the next one. I feel like there are usually two reasons why people don't ask questions. Either everything was so clear that they're like, yeah, it makes sense, or it was completely confusing. It's definitely not the latter in this case, because I don't think I was confused at all. So either it was very clear, people are just waiting to go and do it.
That's if they're not already doing it. It's just a lot to unpack. Okay.
Not to unpack.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with this one, people just have to go do it. People just have to go actually try it out. I already messaged my team saying like, we need to go and do our first version of this like in the next few days.
And maybe subsequent masterclasses, what we'll do is we'll give room for people to actually practicalize. So, do as I do and just basically go through that process and see. And if you have any obstacles or challenges, we can tackle it on the call while we're practicalizing it. Yes.
Yeah, sounds great. And also what we can even do is maybe in the beginning of the next one, we can leave a few 10, 15 minutes at the beginning. So people that have been on this one, they've gone and done it. They have some
Exactly.
task or some things they want to bring it into that session, and then we can take that at the start.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So thank you very much. Any questions? Was I very clear?
I think Kelvin's hand is up.
Yes, thank you so much, Omonuwa. I think this is one of the most intriguing class I've had on AI, and it's really enlightening. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Kelvin.
Thank you. My question is straightforward, and it's just about the co-pilot you mentioned. Yeah, I noticed you didn't use Copilot as one of the tools here, but you did mention that it's something we can use. So I wanted to ask, does the Copilot now have the notebook LM, or you still have to send your whatever you've generated on Copilot to the notebook LM to convert to audio and videos?
Oh, okay. So Copilot Studios is an environment where you are able to create your agent, your conversational agent. All right. So it's almost like you go in there to create a ChatGPT. Do you understand? So when you then do it, you then have an interface where you can go through literally what I have done, where you can ask it, you can feed it questions and you can prompt it and it will respond to you as a proper LLM, but it is you creating your agent, the conversational agent.
Oh, okay, that's very clear. So I create my conversational agent. I can then take whatever I get from there to the notebook.
So you can take what you have gotten from Notebook LM and feed it into its knowledge base. I'm tempted to almost show you what it looks like. But it's a proprietary platform for Zone, and it will be me exposing confidential information. But I really wish I could show it to you. So you can take the way we fed those materials into Notebook LM, and we got out those videos instead of using Notebook LM. What we did with our agent, which is on the Copilot Studio, was to feed those materials into its backend, what's called the knowledge base, and it's literally acting as a ChatGPT for us within the organization. Notebook LM is still on its own; it's separate. When you want to simplify information in the way you have watched, that is what Notebook LM does for you.
Oh, okay.
I hope that's like kind of clear.
Yes, it's clear actually. I think I was looking at it from another angle actually. So
so it can't create explainer videos the way Notebook LM did, all right? Because its functionality is conversational agent. It's a conversational agent. It's not a assistant. It's not a resource assistant. That's the word.
So I thought you mentioned that it's been upgraded. That's why I asked the question whether it can do that on its own without referring to Notebook.
No. So Copilot is an LLM, which is a large language model system. It's not resource assistant. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, so Seni, I think my work is done.
Absolutely. I think we've set a new bar for expectations for these sessions. So you've put us in trouble because now everyone's going to be comparing everything we do from now on to this one. So our work is cut out for us. But look, honestly, I think this is basically down the same path of us trying to create spaces for professionals that are responsible for people management, spaces where we can have really, really insightful conversations about the things that affect the way we work. How do we drive productivity? How do we drive value? How do we become more strategic partners to our organization? Right? Not the usual, let's get together and dance and sing and play and be fun. That's important. But all of us here are professionals that are trying to advance our career, drive more value, right? So I think at Talstack, we pride ourselves in being able to host those kinds of conversations, whether it's the Friday evening mixers we have, every month, or the sessions like this where we can get someone who's just very knowledgeable to come in and speak to us. Omonuwa, thank you so much for your wisdom, your insights. We are, like I said earlier, we're excited to keep going and have the next few sessions. We will wrap up with a final survey just so that we can, leave on a note that gives us some additional data, because you mentioned earlier that data is important. So let's wrap up with data. So we're going to run a quick survey for those that are able to find the poll button again. Please just give us your responses. So again, the question is, with everything you've heard today, how confident are you to start using AI? Well, I'm going to reframe it, not to start using AI in HR. Let's say that how confident are you that AI is truly going to turn you into a strategic partner in the future, right? And either you're super confident, you're moderately confident, you're still thinking it, or you're not sure yet. So something to think about, right? We'll just give 10 more seconds, get a couple of additional votes, and then I think the people that are also on the call kind of give the energy, and you guys are reacting and using the emojis, and so obviously it helps us know that you're here, you're commenting in the comments as well. So thank you for your engagement as well. I think that's that gives energy to the speaker as well. Okay, let's wrap it up. Thank you all. Have a fantastic day. Hopefully we'll see you on the Talstack inbound forms soon. But otherwise, we'll see you in other parts of our journey. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone.